Once upon a time, in the ancient lands of Calabar, when kings ruled with iron authority and every whisper carried the weight of destiny, there lived a young man named Ituen. He was the only child of his aging parents, and though poverty clung to their household like a stubborn shadow, they loved him more than life itself. Ituen was blessed with a face that seemed carved by the spirits themselves and a strong body that turned heads wherever he went. Yet beauty could not fill an empty stomach. Each market day, while merchants packed away their goods and villagers returned home with baskets full of food, Ituen walked through the deserted marketplace carrying nothing but an empty sack. Patiently, he gathered scattered grains of corn, forgotten yams, and scraps left behind by careless traders. It was this humble scavenging that kept his family alive. At that same time, King Ofyong sat upon the throne. He was wealthy and powerful, but age had bent his back and silvered his hair. Though he had many wives, one among them shone brighter than the rest. Her name was Attem. Young, beautiful, and restless, she felt trapped within the walls of the royal compound. She longed not for riches or jewels, but for a husband whose youth matched her own. One day, she summoned her trusted servant. "Search every street, every gathering, every corner of this town," she ordered. "Find me, the finest young man in Calabar." The servant obeyed. From sunrise until evening, she searched, yet found no one worthy. Discouraged, she was returning home when she crossed the market square. There, among scattered husks and discarded vegetables, she saw Ituen bending to gather food. At first, she noticed his poverty. Then she noticed everything else. His broad shoulders, his proud bearing, the quiet dignity with which he carried himself despite his hardship. She knew instantly she had found the man her mistress sought. Approaching him carefully, she delivered the queen's secret invitation. Fear seized Ituen at once. "The king will kill me if I am discovered," he whispered. "But temptation is a patient hunter." The servant spoke of fine food, rich clothes, and a woman whose beauty rivaled the moon itself. Slowly, his resistance crumbled. At last, he agreed. That night, trembling with dread, Ituen approached the queen's hidden side door. Before he could knock twice, the door swung open. Queen Attem stood there glowing beneath the lantern light, draped in beads, gold ornaments, and fine cloth. For a moment neither spoke. Then the queen gazed upon him and felt her heart surrender. She welcomed him inside. Warm water was brought for him. New garments replaced his worn clothing. For the first time in his life, Ituen ate until he could eat no more. Days passed, then weeks. Though danger lurked around every corner, the queen refused to let him leave. She hid him within her chambers and secretly cared for him. When at last Ituen insisted on returning home to see his mother, the queen reluctantly agreed. But she did not send him away empty-handed. 50 carriers accompanied him. They bore yams, salt, tobacco, pepper, cloth, and bundles of wealth beyond anything his family had ever imagined. When Ituen's mother saw the gifts, joy quickly turned to terror. "My son," she cried, "wealth gained beneath a king's roof often carries death behind it." But love had already woven its web around him. After a month at home, a message arrived from the queen. She could no longer endure his absence. Against his mother's warnings, Ituen returned. For a few precious nights, happiness seemed within reach. Then fate struck. The carriers who had delivered the gifts had spoken carelessly. Rumors spread like wildfire through the kingdom until they reached the ears of the king's servants. One midnight, they burst into the queen's chambers. There, they found the lovers together. By dawn, Ituen stood in chains. The king summoned his people to the palaver house. Elders gathered, warriors gathered. The entire kingdom gathered to witness judgment. When the trial ended, the verdict was swift: guilty. 8 fearsome Egbo warriors led Ituen deep into the forest. There, beneath towering trees and silent skies, they bound him tightly and carried out the punishment decreed by custom. When they returned, they carried proof of the sentence to the king. News of Ituen's fate reached Queen Attem. For 3 days and 3 nights, she wept without ceasing. Her grief enraged the king, even more than her betrayal. Soon, the queen and her servant were dragged into the same forest. There, among the shadows, they found Ituen still suffering beneath the trees. No defense could save them. The law showed no mercy. The queen received the same punishment as her lover, while the servant was left blind. Bound to separate trees, all 3 were abandoned to the judgment of the wilderness. When it was over, King Ophiong issued a new decree throughout the land. Never again would any member of Ituen's family enter the market on market day. Never again would any person gather discarded food from the marketplace. Yet the king made 2 curious exceptions: the vulture and the dog. These creatures, he declared, have neither beauty nor charm enough to steal the hearts of queens, and so they alone were allowed to feed upon the market's leftovers. That, the elders say, is why even today, when a market closes and the people depart, vultures descend from the sky and dogs wander among the stalls, searching through what others leave behind, still carrying out the ancient task that once belonged to poor Ituen, the handsome young man whose beauty brought him both fortune and ruin.